Hello everyone, following up on the last video in this episode, we will discuss what Confucius learned throughout his life that attracted 3,000 disciples to follow him, even through hardships and dangers as they accompanied him on his travels across various states. Confucius lost his father at the age of 3, and his family's circumstances gradually declined. But his mother was strict in her discipline from an early age. This led Confucius to later remark, at 15, I set my heart on learning. When Confucius was 15, through his father's former friends, his mother arranged for him to study the proper royal rites of the Zhou Dynasty under the Grand Master of the state of Lu. In there, Confucius learned the proper use of various ritual instruments as well as the procedures and regulations for conducting different ceremonies. This could be considered Confucius' first systematical study of ritual. In that era, rituals governed all aspects of life, including birth, marriage, ancestor and deity worship, agriculture, the initiation and completion of various engineering projects, also warfare and diplomacy and so on, many important things. As the state of Lu was the realm of Jidan, the Duke of Zhou's descendants, it was widely recognized at that time for its orthodox and rigorous adherence to Zhou rites. From his 20s, Confucius aspired to a political career, so he paid close attention to major affairs of the states and often pondered and expressed his views on the governance of the nation. In that year, Confucius began working as a warehouse manager at the beginning, the first job, overseeing the state's material reserves. This was an official position in the government of Lu, similarly to a civil servant in a modern business department. At the same time, he also held a side job. What was it? Through his study of Zhou rites, Confucius gradually became a renowned expert in ceremonial matters in Lu state. For important ceremonies, he was often called upon to organize, manage, and direct musical ensembles, similar to how orchestras are directed today. With trumpets, drums, bells, and Morse organs, he also had to use various ritual vessels, such as cups, goblets, and tripods made of metal, jade, wine brewed from grains, and processed meats to complete the corresponding ritual procedures according to specific rules and steps. In some situations, he even had to act like a shaman or sorcerer to conduct certain rituals of prayer, petition, and sacrifice. At that time, there was a large group of people who practiced these profession, and they were known as scholars or Confucian. This is the earliest meaning of the term Ru in Chinese character Ru, or you can understand it as Confucian. The majority of these people lived in the state of Lu. For those who needed to host rituals, it was considered an honor to have Confucius preside over the authentic Zhou rites. Occasionally, performing these ceremonies brought in considerable income. And combined with his official governmental job, if Confucius had only been content with a life of modest comfort, he would not have become the venerated sage known to later generations as Confucius. Okay, he would be just Kong Qiu, not Confucius. In his spare time, after fulfilling his official duties, Confucius maintained a disciplined and planned study routine. The first thing Confucius studied was the Zhou rites, and as stated in the Rites of Zhou, educate the sons of the nation with the way and teach them the 6 arts. In the early Zhou Dynasty, before royal and noble sons entered adulthood and began their official careers, they would underwent a specialized elite education that was not open to commoners, not open to ordinary people. This system of education was called the royal official education. In Chinese, called Wang Guan Xue. The basic requirement for students in this official education system was to master 6 fundamental skills, and namely rites, music, archery, and charioteering, writing, and arithmetic. It can be said that the various philosophical schools during the spring and autumn and warring states periods emerged as extensions, reforms, innovations, and transformations of the royal official education of the Western Zhou Dynasty. Confucius' knowledge was a systematic study of this royal official education, and the Confucianism is the orthodox continuation of it, with the only difference being that it expanded its audience from the sons of nobility and kings to the general populace. It's similar to how England's Eton College, Harrow School, or Winchester College suddenly became community schools open to everyone, with tuition dropping from several £1,000 to 10 strips of dried meat. Anyone could come to learn what was once reserved for royalty and nobles. And after mastering these skills, and with endorsement of a famous teacher like Confucius, they could excel in politics, in military, or commerce. With such a cost-effective education, it's not hard to understand why Confucius attracted as many as 3,000 disciples. Well, we've already mentioned the skill of rites, which originated from ancient sacrificial activities, particularly the rituals for worshipping heaven, earth, and ancestors. The purpose of these rituals was to ward off evil and seek blessings. The various sacrificial rituals had strict rules regarding the time, place, procedure, sacrificial vessels, offerings, and the behavior of participants, which all forming the various ritual systems. Because the solemnity of rituals could inspire and unite people, and because he firmly believed that the rituals could invoke divine blessings. These rituals became an important educational tool by the Western Zhou Dynasty, with the establishment of a complete patriarchal hierarchy. Rites became the ethical standards and moral norms governing all human behavior. Since power and wealth distribution were strictly according to this patriarchal hierarchy, rites became the embodiment of this system. Therefore, among the 6 arts, rites held the highest status and naturally became the most important educational content for the aristocracy in the Western Zhou royal court and the various feudal states. Okay, next, let's introduce the other 5 skills, like music. This music is not only the music. This music is a comprehensive art that integrates poetry, music, and dance. Since rites were often expressed in ceremonies such as sacrifices, warfare, banquets, court meetings, weddings, and funerals, the manner in which participants conducted themselves during these events often had to be accompanied by rhythmic music and dance. Thus, music became an indispensable partner to rites. The 6 music taught in the rites of Zhou included 云门大卷, 大香, and Shao, and 大夏, and 大货, and 大武. These are different 6 dance routines from the past 6 dynasties before to the Zhou dynasty. Unfortunately, these have all been lost to history. They were all used to accompany various ceremonies and sacrificial rituals. So learning music was also basic training in the study of Zhou rites. As the saying goes, rites and music complement each other. Rites cannot be performed without music, and music here cannot be initiated without rites. And rites and music must be strictly coordinated and executed according to the system. About shooting and charioteering are basic military skills. Shooting refers to archery, and charioteering refers to driving a chariot, like Xia and Shang dynasties. The Western Zhou dynasty used military suppression and armed conquest to maintain their rule, and chariot warfare was the mainstay of their military. Therefore, the training in archery and chariot driving was an essential part of education at that time also. The extended meaning of these skills also includes the fields of politics, leadership, and management, known as the art of governance. According to the record of rites, the meaning of shooting, the Zhou king even selected feudal lords, ministers, and officials based on their archery skills, highlighting the importance rulers placed on military abilities. About writing and arithmetic, refer to literacy and numeracy, which are foundational subjects to in elementary education for the nobles and king's family. Finally, after Confucius systematically studied the Zhou Rites, he began to thoroughly read the Book of Psalms and the Book of Documents, and he also comprehensively studied the other 6 arts, like we have mentioned above, including archery, charioteering, writing, and arithmetic. Besides working as a warehouse manager, Confucius also served as a minor official managing livestock. During this time, he met a skilled charioteer, and Confucius learned the techniques of driving a chariot from him. Also, this charioteer's name did not survive in historical records. It can still be considered as one of Confucius' teachers. Later, Confucius studied music with the court musician Shi Xiangzi from the palace of the state of Lu. It is said that he also engaged in academic exchanges with Lao Tzu, who is the founder of Taoism. Also, the historical records do not specify from whom Confucius learned archery. It was a mandatory skill for gentlemen and noblemen of the time, and Confucius was not only an enthusiast but also a master archer. When he practiced archery in the countryside of Lu, he attracted many followers, and people from neighboring villages would gathered around him as if attending a concert by a famous idol. Confucius also passed on his archery skills to his disciples, which formed the Confucius school of archery within Chinese archery traditions. Although this tradition has been lost in China, but it was passed down to Japan in the ancient time. So where it combined with local archery techniques and evolved into what is now known as Kyudo in Japan. Regarding the study of the Book of Changes, Confucius initially regarded it as a book of divination before the age of 50, and he was rather dismissive of it. However, after turning 50, he gradually delved into the philosophical aspects of the Book of Changes and became deeply fascinated by it. That's amazing. Eventually writing a commentary known as the 10 Wings as a study of the Book of Changes requires exceptional talent and understanding. Confucius did not teach this subject to his students, only occasionally mentioning it. Thus, Confucius began his dedicated study of the royal official education at the age of 15. By the time he was 30, Confucius established a private school where he began teaching the 6 arts of a gentleman mentioned above. Although there were other academic schools and private institutions during the same period, however, Confucius' school was the largest, with up to 3,000 disciples at its peak. Among these disciples were many well-known figures in Chinese history, such as Yan Hui, Zi Lu, Zi Gong, and Zi Xia, who are familiar to most Chinese people through the Analects of Confucius. This concludes the content of this episode about Confucius and the 6 arts he taught. So, what else did Confucius do besides educating, imparting skills, and spreading his thoughts? Why did Confucianism not become the mainstream governing philosophy during the spring and autumn and the Warring States period, yet later became a lasting legacy for thousands of years? So we will continue this discussion in the next episode. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and feel free to comment and share. So, okay, thank you guys. Thank you for your watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.